two phones sit on the same charger overnight. Same wall outlet, same 8 hours, same full charge by morning. Nothing about the starting point is different. Phone A has the bigger battery, top of the line, more raw capacity than anything else on the market. On paper, it should last longer than anything sitting next to it. But by 9 a.m., it's already down to 60%. Nobody's touched it, nobody's even picked it up. It just has a dozen apps running quietly in the background. Location tracking, auto refresh, notifications syncing every few seconds, each one sipping a tiny bit of power nobody's watching. By noon, it's down to 20%. By early afternoon, it's dead, and its owner is crouched next to an outlet in a coffee shop, frustrated, wondering how a battery that big managed to disappear before lunch. Phone B has a smaller battery, cheaper, less impressive spec sheet. Nobody would pick it in a store if capacity was the only number they looked at. But every background drain on this phone has been shut off deliberately. Nothing runs unless it's actually, consciously being used. By the time phone A is being frantically plugged in, phone B still has 40% left, untouched at the end of a full day of actual use. Same starting charge, wildly different outcomes, and the difference was never the size of the battery. This is your paycheck every single month. It starts full, and before you've consciously spent a single dollar of it on purpose, something is already draining it in the background. A subscription you forgot you signed up for, a delivery fee here, a small habitual purchase there, an app renewal you didn't even get a notification for. None of it feels like much in the moment. All of it adds up to the same result, a full battery at the start of the month and almost nothing left by the end of it. Here's the assumption almost everyone makes without ever questioning it. If the money runs out too fast, the fix must be a bigger battery. Earn more, get the raise, take the second job. But a bigger income sitting on top of the exact same background drains doesn't fix anything. It just means you go broke on a higher number, with a nicer car in the driveway while you do it. The battery was never the actual problem. The drains were. There's a well-documented idea in behavioral economics that explains a huge part of why this keeps happening to smart, capable people who would never call themselves bad with money. Before we get to that, you need to understand something more basic. You need to actually see where your own drains are hiding, because right now, most of them are invisible to you on purpose. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to find them and exactly how to shut them off for good. Here's the actual mechanism behind the drain, and it has nothing to do with discipline. Your brain processes a payment completely differently depending on how visible that payment is. When you hand over physical cash, your brain registers something close to a small loss, a real, measurable twinge of discomfort right at the moment the money leaves your hand. Neuroeconomists call this the pain of paying, and it's been observed consistently enough that it's treated as a predictable part of how spending decisions get made. That twinge is actually useful. It's your brain's built-in brake pedal. Now, compare that to a tap of a card or a subscription that renews automatically in the background while you're doing something else entirely. That same twinge gets almost completely muted. In some cases, it barely registers at all. You don't feel the transaction happen. You only feel the damage weeks later, when your statement arrives, or when your balance is lower than you expected and you can't quite account for why. By then, the decision that caused it is long gone from memory. There's nothing left to learn from because you never consciously experienced the moment in the first place. Picture two people earning the exact same salary. Person one pays for nearly everything with a tap or a saved card, checks their balance only when something feels off, and currently has somewhere between 5 and 8 small subscriptions renewing every month that they genuinely could not name from memory if you asked them right now. Person 2 has one simple habit. They glance at every transaction the same day it happens, no exceptions. Same income, same job, same cost of living, completely different financial trajectory a year from now. The gap between them isn't willpower, and it isn't intelligence. It's visibility. One person's spending is invisible to them. The other person's spending is impossible to ignore. Ask yourself honestly, right now, without checking your phone, could you list every single subscription currently pulling money from your account? Not roughly, exactly. Most people can't get past 3 or 4 before they stall out, and that's not a character flaw, and it's not a sign that you're bad with money. It's the predictable, engineered result of a payment system that was specifically designed to remove friction on purpose. Every one-tap checkout, every auto-renewal, every saved card sitting quietly in an app exists for one commercial reason: to make sure you never pause long enough to ask whether something is still worth paying for. So the fix was never try harder to notice or be more disciplined. Willpower is a limited resource, and relying on it to fight an entire industry built around removing friction is a losing bet from day one. The actual fix is rebuilding the pause that the system deliberately removed, putting a manual checkpoint back between your money and the dozens of small things quietly taking it from you every single month. There are 4 checkpoints worth putting back in place, and none of them require earning a single extra dollar. First, move your savings before anything else touches your account, not after. Most people spend all month on autopilot and save whatever happens to be left over at the end, which in practice is usually nothing because there's rarely anything left. Reverse the order entirely. The moment your income lands in your account, move your saving amount out immediately, as if it already belongs to someone else and was never really yours to spend. If you earn $3,000 a month and want to save $400, that $400 leaves first, automatically, before you even look at the rest. What remains becomes your actual operating budget, not a rough suggestion, but a hard limit you build the rest of the month around. That limit is what forces better decisions, the same way a tighter suitcase forces a traveler to pack only what actually matters and leave the rest behind. Second, run a 5-minute subscription audit once a month, same day, every time, so it becomes automatic. Pull up your bank or card statement and circle every single recurring charge you find, no matter how small. For each one, ask a single, honest question. If this disappeared today, would I actually notice within 7 days? Not, might I use it someday? Would you notice its absence within 7 days? Anything you can't confidently answer, yes, I genuinely miss it, gets canceled on the spot. This one habit alone is usually where the single biggest hidden drain in a person's entire budget turns out to be living. Third, put a manual pause on any non-essential purchase over a set amount, say $50. This isn't a rule against buying it, it's a rule against buying it immediately. Add it to a running list on your phone with the date. Wait 72 hours. If you still want it after 3 days with the same intensity, buy it freely with zero guilt attached. That's a purchase made with intention, not impulse. Most of the time, though, the urge quietly fades on its own somewhere around day 2, and you never even notice the money you didn't spend because the craving simply isn't there anymore to remind you. Fourth, automate the boring part so none of this depends on your memory or your motivation on any given day. Set up automatic transfers for your savings, automatic reminders for your monthly audit, and if your bank allows it, spending alerts for any charge over your 72-hour threshold. The goal isn't to become a more disciplined person through sheer effort. The goal is to build a system so the disciplined outcome happens automatically, even on the days you have zero motivation left to think about money at all. Quick gut check before you move on to the next part. Of the 4 drains we just covered, invisible subscriptions, spend-first habits, unpaused impulse buys, or simply not automating any of this, which one is actually costing you the most money right now, today, without you even fully realizing it? Here's what all 4 checkpoints are really pointing toward underneath the practical advice. Wealth was never about the size of the battery you start with. It's about how much charge is actually still there at the end of the day, the end of the month, the end of the year. Someone earning a large salary who leaks it through a dozen invisible drains ends every single month running on empty, regardless of how impressive the number looked on the day it landed in their account. Someone earning far less, with every one of those drains sealed shut, ends the month with charge to spare. And that leftover charge is the actual thing that buys freedom, not the income itself. The leftover, the gap between what came in and what's still there. Interestingly, none of this is a new discovery, even if it feels like one right now. A Japanese household budgeting method dating back over a century, built almost entirely around writing every single expense down by hand instead of letting it pass by invisibly, worked for exactly this reason long before smartphones or subscriptions existed to hide anything. It didn't require a bigger income from anyone practicing it. It simply made every drain visible enough for an ordinary person to consciously decide whether to shut it off. The tools change with every generation. The underlying principle hasn't moved an inch in 100 years. Here's your challenge for the next 48 hours, and it's small on purpose, so there's no excuse not to do it. Open your bank statement right now, today, and circle every single recurring charge you find on it. That's the entire task. Don't cancel anything yet. Don't judge any of it yet. Just make every drain visible, all in one place where you can actually see the full picture for the first time. Then come back and tell me in the comments, when you actually sat down and looked, how many subscriptions did you find that you had completely forgotten you were even paying for? I genuinely bet it's more than you think it's going to be before you check. You don't need a bigger battery to get where you're trying to go. You just need fewer things quietly running in the background, draining you before you ever got a real say in it.